Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butz, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Hearst Ranch, grass-fed beef raised on California's Central Coast. Now available online through Larder Meat Company. Learn more at HearstRanch.com.
This week on Meat and Three, we head into the second part of our mini-series on global trade, where we talk about all things sweet, from chocolate and sugarcane to the cultural festival that accompanied the growth of the date industry in the U.S.
They're using this romance and fantasy to say dates are exotic and you should consume them.
I'd like to think of the food that we eat as archaeological artifacts, in part because the history of humanity is in the stands in your produce market.
It's not like other foods. We have very personal feelings about chocolate.
Tune in to Meat and Three, HRN's weekly food news roundup, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello and welcome to Snacky Tunes. I am one half your host, Darren Bresnitz. I hope everyone is breathing a little bit easier after Wednesday. I know the 20th was a big sigh of relief for me. It's good to see some actual work in government that is supporting people. I don't think it's time for us to take our eyes off the prize about major changes that helps all of America. But let's be honest, it's just good to see a little work done. We have a really great conversation with one of our good friends, Dale Talday. He's been busy, so we haven't had him on in a minute, but we talked to him about the opening of Goose Feather in Tarrytown, New York, him being on the next season of Top Chef, what the current state of the restaurant industry looks like, and what the future holds. It is a still long, dark winter for the restaurant industry across America. So how about where you can, take out if you can, or if not, repost on social media. Every little bit helps with the independent restaurant community. Then we dig into the archives. We have a really fun performance from Odd Kid Out, who was just 20 years old when he was on our show. He's from our hometown of Philadelphia, and he's also the co-creator of Fact Magazine. So it's a fun performance, some good music, and, just an all-around really enjoyable show. At least that is what we think. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy Snacky Tunes here on HRN.
We talk about food, we talk about music, with musical dudes, finger on the pulse, Snacky Tunes.
Allora, bello mio, voglio solamente meraviglioso te. Da quando ero piccola avevo sogni di un fidanzato perfetto. Ti amo davvero, ti voglio bene. Salvami, baciami ancora, amami ancora, carissimo, cuore mio, dammi tutto del tuo amore, amore.
I know it's been a short time, but it feels like forever. You're always on my mind, now more than ever. Can't remember life without you, the memories just aren't there. I think that my heart always knew that I needed you there. Pretty sure I know what to call it, could call it love, but I don't wanna move too fast, identifying us. Do the same rules apply when it's up to you and me? Oh, I'll take my chances now, only one thing this could be. Maybe it's too talking crazy, but please don't be afraid. I know you feel it too. I can tell in the way you behave. Pretty sure I know what to call it. Could call it love. Oh, but I don't wanna move too fast. Identifying us. Maybe it's too early. Maybe it's too early. Tell me if it's early. I don't wanna scare you. No, don't want you to walk away. But I want you only. Want you only. The best part of my day. I love you. 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 And only you. And only you.
If you did me dirty, better right your wrongs, bonnet.
Yeah, here you go talking that shit.
I write them songs that make chicks spend nights in thongs, sorta kinda not quite for long.
Yo, you really drawn right now.
Love when I hear, love when I spit. Paint a picture, she in love with this shit perfect. She in love with the drip, so dog I can't tell it's a chick. Nah, see she in love with my clique. Get money, dress fly, talk shit. I bet you played a part in the shit. Joe me like Melissa Joan Hart and shit.
Oh yeah, you Joe shit.
Need a chick to make a partner and shit. We can take a trip to the big car dealership.
Come on, then we
Think you
out.
know who you are dealing with. That no murder nigga killing shit. Nigga flow like water, BP, oil still spilling shit. Ball closed, nigga still feeling it. One bottle left, nigga still chilling it. She still ride, nigga still willing it.
You know what? I should have listened to my girlfriend. I don't even know why I'm dealing with your dumb ass. I should have never put my emotions out there. I don't know why I gave you my time of day. Nobody wants to be with you. You're drunk all the time. You're tired.
Dale, welcome back to Snacky Tunes. It's so good to hear your voice and to catch up. And before we dig into business, how are you doing?
I'm good. I mean, all things considering, I mean, we are, in round 2 of this garbage year and this pandemic. And, it is what at this point, it's like hit me with your best shot. You already took the uppercut from Mike Tyson in March, and it's like you hit the canvas and you got back up and you're wobbly and you can't see straight and your head's a little cloudy and, let's do it again. Ding, ding, another round. So at this point, it's like, there's only up, it's like what everybody says, man. It's only, the only way you can go is up from here, right? Because it's been such a, just god awful year. How much worse can it get?
Yeah. And we're definitely going to get into that. And if there was any sort of silver lining or reaffirmation of why I love working with chefs and have been happy to call some of them my friends, is that there is that resilience. That you just throw literally the worst scapegoating onto an entire industry and no one's asking for a handout. They're just saying, hold us up till we can get back to normal.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into that, but I want to go back a little bit because it's been a minute since we've had you on the show. And I'd like to take us back to a magical time known as fall 2019, which if I had known what a special era in dining out that would be, I would have laughed because, at that point, the world has just been chugging along in the restaurant scene. We're in this golden age. Restaurants are opening up everywhere. It's assumed and expected that you can go to any town in America and get a bang out meal. And you proved that point by opening up Goose Feather in Tarrytown. And I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the inspiration behind that and how you landed on that location.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, I feel like this has been an odd couple of years for me. I had been with partners and, dissolved a group, opened and closed a ton of restaurants. And as partnerships go, you kind of, you get to a point with them and listen, at the end of the day, a lot of these are like marriages, right? They end really badly, and mine ended really badly. And I won't put the blame on everybody, but it literally was me. a little bit was other people, and a lot was one dude. And you know, when someone's really dishonest and a shitty person, then you just gotta leave it. So you know, closed some restaurants. It was really in a precarious place when a former colleague had connected me with somebody and said, "Hey, you want to take a look at this property? It's in Tarrytown. It's 30 minutes from where you live in Fort Lee. Just take a look at it. They need an operator. They had somebody in the 11th hour fall through." And I took a look at it and looked at the space, and it was like straight out of 1992, like just, you know, but there had to be some vision, right? There's a lot of spaces that like that. Had to be some vision. And then they kind of opened the back doors to this old mansion, 180-year-old mansion, and they say, hand this back outside space is yours to operate. And I just saw like, boom, opportunity.
Love it.
We landed on it, and you know, out the gate, we didn't open up the backyard, but we opened inside this mansion, about 100 seats, 120, 130 seats, with the idea that I'm going to do it my way this time, instead of, you know, having, like, obviously, right, it was, you know, I started a new hospitality brand, my wife, and it was like, no more of the little, like, no more of just of making crappy decisions so we can all stop fighting, right? It's like, just do it the way you want to do it from the get, and let's make this happen. And that's what we did. Yeah, so we opened Goose Feather, and to be honest with you, it's probably the most rewarding and the best thing I've ever done, 100%, because it's the vision is mine, solely mine. You know, with obviously team members and my GM and my chef, who's really, you know, always these more important people in the grand scheme of things than myself at this point. But you know, it was rewarding and refreshing and really hard, but amazing to do.
You know, part of going to a location like Tarrytown, getting out of these major metropolitan areas, does allow you that freedom to have a full vision. Because a lot of the times when you're opening up in, let's say, Brooklyn or New York, especially in the last 5 or 10 years, you need outside money, you need investors, you're trying to, you know, gild the lily a little bit of the culinary media. But when you go to these secondary, tertiary markets, and there's a desire for this level of chef and this level of food to come, it does give you a little bit of freedom. So what have you gained, and where do you look for in this project and maybe ones in the future? Is it back to the city and this is your upstate anchor, or you're just like, I'm done with New York and Brooklyn?
Yeah, you know, I'm never going to say I'm done with something, but it just feels like it's right now. And it feels like, obviously, with what's happening around us, that, you know, a lot of people have made, you know, it's like this. It's like, I mean, you and I both, right? We made the decision, we left the city, and now we are in kind of what, quote unquote, the burbs, right?
Sure.
I feel like there's a lot of us in our age group who, one, love to dine, still want to have fun, think they're cool still. we live out in the burbs, so it's like what I think there's just that trend, and especially it's been accelerated with a lot of people. Listen, if this year didn't, you know, you were on the fence this year, like, hey, should we make the move? This year, let's do it, and you find that there's people not living in a city that are these people who dine 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week, took out food, know what a fantastic cocktail. You know, don't go to the bar and order a vodka tonic or a gin and tonic every single night. You know what I mean? They're like, they want to try a cool new cocktail. They want to be surprised by a funky new wine producer. They want to be challenged with very cool food that they're kind of yearning for, right? So for me, it just makes sense to kind of like, hey, look at these other markets, and I've done this before. Like when I was in Park Slope, like there were some great restaurants in Park Slope, but like,
yes,
you know, nobody was doing what we were trying to do.
No,
there was a handful of people trying to do what we were doing and doing what we were doing, but you know, when we did that, it kind of validated for other people to say, yes, let's do this. So it just feels like there's a need in these other places. I think it's like this when you go to an airport, right? And like you and I both traveled a ton. It's like you've traveled to places, smaller markets, smaller cities where there wasn't a direct flight, but you landed in that small city or you connected and you're like, oh, there's a cool barbecue place.
Mm-hmm.
or there's a cool ramen shop here. Like, what's this ramen shop doing in like this airport? Every place needs good food because people like the level of food has gone up. The level of quality has gone up tenfold now. You're not just going to settle for crap anymore. People want, eating good is like becoming this birthright where before it wasn't. It was like, hey, let me just get a crappy burger at this really bad fast food chain, which I love, but people aren't relying on that 100% anymore.
No, and I think given food's explosion and popularity and move to the mainstream in the last 10 years, especially for those of us who were in our 20s or early 30s when that was happening, who now have grown up and have kids and things like that, if anything, there are things from that time in our lives where we're like, I don't need to do that anymore. I've grown out of that. But if anything, I still want that good meal. And I definitely want that down the street from me. Mm-hmm. So, there's a lot of families like that. There's a lot of people who say, okay, I'll leave maybe some of the party lifestyle behind, but I still want to be able to go down the street and get, this specific food, this taco, this ramen, this chicken and things like that.
Totally.
Now I want to get back a little bit to the cuisine at Goose Feather because, Chinese food, especially in America, I would say is probably one of the most well-known, popular cuisines. Everyone's got some sort of Chinese food example in their restaurant, but it's probably also one of the most misunderstood or mutated type of cuisines that's represented in the United States. What were you trying to show at Goose Feather with your take on Chinese food?
That's a question I ask every day. I think it's evolving. I think, in the beginning it was like, hey, we're going to focus on, you got to have these taglines for it. And I guess
sure,
with media and just kind of like the way people search out food, you got to have taglines. And you hopefully as a chef and a restaurateur, you can get to a part of your career where you don't have to have those taglines, but inevitably you do. Like Stephen Caro said, if you're meeting on the corner of this and this with 5 other people and you don't know where to go eat, it's like, what do you ask? What do you guys want? Pigeon or, you kind of have to kind of pigeonhole yourself into one of these positions, but it's really evolving. But Goose Feather started off as like, it's Cantonese, modern seasonal Cantonese cuisine with a focus on Hong Kong. And that's really what I loved about the saying at the end of it, the focus on Hong Kong. It's kind of like saying, we're the cuisine of New York City, which kind of doesn't mean anything because New York City is the largest melting pot in the world. And next to New York, Hong Kong is kind of that next melting pot of the world. You know what I mean? It's like one of the most, transient cities in the world. So, I spent a week there and it's what I noticed. Is like, dude, everyone speaks English. There is a million. It's like New York City. You don't eat just Chinese food or Cantonese food or dim sum when you're in Hong Kong. You can eat everything, like some of the best pizza, great Eastern food, a fantastic burger. So, I think when we kind of tag that part Hong Kong, it gave us the liberty to do whatever. And at the end of the day, we're just doing food that we love that has a Cantonese and Chinese bend to it. Is it authentic? No, but nothing I do is purely authentic. And we wanted to bring a level of fun, and we wanted to really hone it because there's good food in Westchester. There's Chinese food in Westchester, but we wanted to bring kind of like that. We wanted to try and nail all 3 phases or 4 phases of if you wanted to use a football term. We wanted service, we wanted the beverage program, the wine program, the food, the ambiance, the music. We wanted all that to be kind of a reason why you go to Goose Feather as opposed to someplace else.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that because just doing exact replicas of classic Cantonese dishes is an art form, but it's not as specific or personable as if you're going to put your own twist on it. And I think if you pay respect to the base of the culture and then add your own flourishes, it does make it something new and different. And then, in one way or another, that's what people are looking for today. It's like, oh yeah, that's really great. Roast duck or char siu or, something like that, or dim sum. But then there's a little something extra that you can only get at this place that makes you want to go back.
Yeah, 100%.
So, pre-pandemic, paint us the perfect picture of a night at Goosefeather. And this is really just for me to listen to when we get off the show and I can fantasize about what it was like to dine out.
Well, I got to tell you, man, as cozy as the restaurant is, and I love it, I think the restaurant's beautiful. I do think a night out at Goosefeather, let's go post-pandemic, because I think we are going into the space really nicely. And as much as I love the cozy rooms, we have the library, we have the great room. The great room is one of the better rooms that I think in the space. It's has these, this kind of candle fixture center of the room that I love. Dining outside there is going to be so sick next year. I mean, this summer we put a garden back there that was, I had like 20 varieties of tomatoes, like 30 varieties of chilies. It's a 40-foot by 5-foot garden bed that we just maxed out. Eggplants, squash. I mean, we had like probably 20 or 30 types of herbs growing. We had a lot of that from seed. I mean, obviously we had the time in April, March and May. We had the time, March and April, we had the time to like seed things, and it was really cool. Outside was really cool. We put up these great bistro lights. I think it starts off with a fantastic cocktail from our beverage director and our head bar person. And then you move into our wine program, which is primarily old world wines. And then, I don't know, it's usually 4, 5, 6 people is great because you can go try a lot of that menu. And which get to whatever tagline people like, more people. Yeah, but it's true. I mean, some of our food, our food's meant to share in kind of Asian form. And, you get a half a duck, you get a lobster.
I'm in.
A bunch of dim sum and call it a night. And then, next summer we're taking the front lawn and we're building our bar, like an outdoor bar out there. So we're really trying to grow into the space and see, kind of maximize the property and what it can do.
Yeah. Well, look, before we head to break and before we shift to the more pandemic part of this conversation, despite everything that happened this year, the wonderful Jeff Gordonier and Esquire magazine put together their best new restaurant list. And you were on it, which is, to read the list. And I mean, shout out to Jeff. He wrote the foreword for our book, which you were also a part of. But Jeff just, it's such a wrestle to see these lists now. And they're coming out because it's the end of the year. But in some ways, it's great to see these lists, right? It's a reminder of like everything's changed. And then in some ways, for those who unfortunately will be the ones to survive while a lot of fail that come back, like, there is going to be a life in restaurants after this is over. Yeah. But what was it like to be on the list? And why do you think it was important for that list to come out?
Darren, can I tell you that in my time of cooking, and I mean, you've been to a lot of restaurants that I've opened, almost every single one of them.
Yep.
I've never got a greater accolade than this. This was like the best accolade that honestly, the best accolade I've ever had. I mean, and I think it's more important because I did it with my wife and I did it with the team that I put together. But I have partners in the restaurant that are amazing because they believe in what we do and they kind of give us the keys to the castle. But I did it the way I wanted to do it, and I knew that was the right way to do it. So it was amazing, and it was it's a feather in everybody's hat that's worked there. I said, and it's cliche, but this goes to the people who actually who bang it out every day, who make the schedules, who do the dishes, who clean the bathroom, who pack up to go boxes. That's really this. It's the team. I was just the person to kind of put it together and then give them the framework to let them run with the ball, and it's amazing, and I'm really proud of it. And and I told those guys that this is amazing accolade, but this is where the hard work up, because we have to prove to the world that we were deserving of this amazing accolade.
Amazing. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick musical break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the current state of the restaurant world, how lawmakers need to step up, and we'll look a little bit to the future. We have a song from the archives here on Snacky Tunes on HRN.
Pass me the. Iced out intelligence, I spout the relevance, I spit. The elephant's chock full of eloquence and dripping and such. Immaculate the clutch. Ain't anything that I touch is not worth twice as much. I come beyond street elite with a cause and bring depth to beats. We're fresh, I won't pause. I find flaws in yours, cause it's just soft. And not soft meaning tits, but soft meaning toss out the box, bro. I Rambo with care and dare the whole world to have love to share, cause I do. Anything I spit's the shit, like I'm doing it to death. I'm slick, a rival, be a rubberneck affair, a hobble. The ladies with a check to spare. I got heart for fam with heart to be a man and heart to be free inside the heartland. Let the light shine throughout your lifetime and dig deep inside. Keep my timeline wise, strong, right, wrong, pray, dawn, keep it on. Let the light shine throughout your lifetime and dig deep inside. Keep my timeline wise, strong, right, wrong, pray, dawn, keep it on.
Yo, let me show you what I'm about, man. Climb dumb MCs like they was Kings Mountain. Throw them in the fountain to see if shit floats. Jerobi got them obscure quotes. Maybe if you like me, just post. There'll be another dose of wittily written. Wordplay differently crooned to these kittens. They easily smitten with the unique physique. Rhymes on repeat, wild child mystique. Jar of Obi-Wan jewels as I school fools. Roby 1 plus women equal drool pools. You got a whack shop, you use poor tools. You play a bad game with the wrong rules. I'm printer friendly with this empty. Your style's invalid, definitely empty. So if you run up, please be friendly, cause I got a itchy backhand, so please don't get mad.
Let the light shine throughout your lifetime and dig deep inside. Keep my timeline wise, strong, right, wrong, pray, dawn, keep it on. Let the light shine throughout your lifetime and dig deep inside. Keep my timeline wise, strong, right, wrong, pray, dawn, keep it on. Keep the hashtag native cats back for the scratch. We snatch attention swiftly. We the match.
And we're striking, of course. Drez and Roby ill as par for the course. Sounds remain native.
Creative,
don't sleep.
Just peep the Crayola. A colorful blend. The party people love the odor.
Oh, different us. Love smells like us. Native soliloquy. Heaven with melody.
Plus, we parallel in paramount proportion. Please, I come to please with a proper portion.
Man, the portions are proper. Servings are hard. Mr. Jenga with the lingua. Wrecking your body.
We just be blessed. Ridiculous. Me, I'm Dr. E.S. I spit beloved.
Ha! I'm Jerobi Continental, spilling words on your thoughts, leaving stains on your mental.
Let the light shine throughout your lifetime and dig deep inside. Keep my timeline wise, strong, right, wrong, pray, dawn, keep it on. Let the light shine throughout your lifetime and dig deep inside. Keep my timeline wise, strong, right, wrong, pray, dawn, keep it on.
Hello and welcome back to Snacky Tunes. We are chatting with a longtime friend of the show and friend in life, Dale Talday. And, you know, it has been a devastating year for independent restaurants. I believe the recent number I saw was 100,000 independent restaurants have closed in the last 8 months, which sort of goes back to what we were talking about in the first part, is that it is now expected that any city you land in, any place you go, you want that meal. You want to know that there's a restaurant there and that you can have something that is indicative of the city, but also something that's inspiring, something that leaves you with a memory of a town and really does inspire travel and you know, not to be gauche about it, but financial drive to go to a city or to go to a town and things like that. But in many ways, the local, state, federal levels are failing restaurants. What are they missing? And what are the biggest shortcomings that they've had?
I mean, for me, I feel like I just saw somebody the other day, like a Department of Buildings or somebody posted that, like, or the Department of Traffic is like coming down on people's structures that they're building outside in the city. It's like, what do you want us to do? You know what I mean? These guys are
right.
trying to, like a lot of us aren't making money, but a lot of us are trying to keep the doors open so that we don't have to lay off 40 people. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, December's a wash for me. I'm gonna be real, man. The summer was good because we had the outdoor space.
Yeah.
December, January, February is gonna be a wash. I mean, I'll barely make money if I make money. I mean, it's probably gonna be a losing situation, but I want to keep these guys employed. I want to keep a paycheck in people's hands. I think what they're missing is like the speed at which this needs to get done. Like, people are like literally working check to check and looking for their next meal. So like, I think there's people like Tom Colicchio was arguing with somebody on Twitter about like, don't look at restaurants as just the only small businesses, but as the focus. It's like, no, we get it, man. There's a lot of small businesses out there, but do you know what it runs to cost a laundromat? It takes a few people. It doesn't take a lot of people. You know what it takes to run a restaurant? Even like a 50 or 60 seat restaurant, a small restaurant, it takes a lot of people. The help that's being needed is so much more in restaurants because of what it takes for us to even operate. And that's just that's just the way restaurants are. You can't open a restaurant with just 2 or 3 people. It doesn't work like that. So,
there's been a lot of examination of how restaurants were run before. And you do mention check to check, and you do mention, some of the tough issues of running a restaurant. Financially and structurally, do you think people are going to be able to change when they come out of this? Or is it, making up lost revenue? Because so many people are just getting into a deeper and deeper hole right now. And they're going to have to claw their way back. And so while there's the desire to change, do you think there will be actual room to change?
Are you saying for the help or for actual restaurateurs and chefs?
I think it's a mix, all right? I think it's restaurateurs and chefs and the people who effectively own the business and the people who work and support the business.
I think the change will come. I think you're already starting to see the change. You're starting to see people who understood their business, like, hey, like pizzerias, right? And I've noticed some of in the area that I'm at, they just stopped doing indoor dining and they will never go back to it. They're killing it. They're crushing it right now. And they're like, why do I need it's sad. I'm more profitable not having a dining room and just doing takeout and to go. Now, that might change in the future, right? They might look at it and be like, oh, everyone's going back out again. I need to open my dining room again. Or other people might say, you know what? Even if that happens, I've done the numbers and I make more money doing what I'm doing now currently without a dining room. So I think there's going to be that type of change. But there's always going to be, listen, you and I want to go out. Dining is not about being fed. It's not about just being fed. It's not just about eating. It's about being out and socializing. And that will never go away and you're out, you see it now. I guarantee this. The first, when we're out of this on the other side and everything's open 100%, no matter what season it will be like, or what season it'll be in, it will be like the first nice day in spring in like downtown New York. Everywhere. It will be tables outside. There will be 4 or 5 tops of people drinking like 8 bottles of rosé.
Oh my God.
Getting stupid drunk. People, food at this point, food is so secondary. Or, it's like the 3rd or 4th thing on the list that people just want to be out.
Yeah.
Grindr and Tinder is going to explode on the other end of this.
Buy that stock now. Get in on the ground floor.
Oh my God. It's gonna be crazy because people are just missing that interaction, the social interaction. That's what we're here for. We're
I'm waiting for that moment to walk into that first restaurant and hear the thrum of the room and feel the vibe it's like it's unbelievable. I mean,
it's going to give you chills again.
No, I know. And, we've been doing as much takeout as we can. Obviously, there are some days when I'm like, oh, I'm wearing 3 or 4 pieces of restaurant merch at once. But at some point, it's just really tough to be excited about this, but then also and know that what's sitting between us and that is this winter. And I think the 100,000 number is going to go up for restaurants that are going to close.
Without a doubt.
What do you think is going to happen? And I guess now that, this is the toughest question, right? Like, winter's coming, all these restaurants are closed. These people aren't going to stop wanting to be chefs and open restaurants, right? Mm-hmm. So can you walk away from a restaurant? If it's like, not to get into the technical of it, but like if it's an LLC, you're just like, I'm done, I'm bankrupt, good luck, there's no money there, I'm not paying anyone, I'm really sorry. Yeah. And then do people just open up a new restaurant? Like, what's going to happen with all these people who stopped their original place? Will you see a whole new crush of restaurants?
Did it stop our president, our current president now? How many times has he filed for bankruptcy?
Sure.
He's filed bankruptcy a million times. How many times does all these have banks or bankers or all these people file for bankruptcy and just start all over again? That's what bankruptcy's for, right? And it's like, listen, guys, like, I'm not an advocate, like, everyone got to do what they got to do, and you got to put food on your table. And it's like, you'll find another way to do it for a little while. I had another restaurateur. He's like, man, this is hard. And I was just like, would you ever do a personal chef gig? I'm like, dude, I will do anything to put food and take care of my family. So if I be a personal chef, I'll do it. Listen, I'll do whatever it takes. Like, I've thought about, like, and that's the beauty of, I think, what it is that we do. We are that flexible to say, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be a chef in a restaurant. I'm going to be a chef for a family, or I'm going to start catering outside of my home. I'm going to start building these to-go meals. I'm going to do these Zoom classes. We've done a million different ways to earn an income, and that's not going to stop. You know what I mean? There's always a dream somewhere, right? There's always a dream somewhere for somebody. So it's like, whether it's consulting, or you're going overseas, or you're talking to someone with a restaurant in upstate New York, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's always a dream for somebody. And at some point, it's like, everyone knows it's coming back. So it's like, it's temporary, right? If you got to, like, bag groceries temporarily, or drive Uber, even though no one's using them, or, do whatever you got to do for right now. You got to work at Amazon. People they're going to grind out until they get on the other side of this. And then there's going to be a lot of opportunity on the other side of this. That's for sure.
Yeah. We were both in New York during the financial crisis. And I remember the haranguing of end of fine dining, end of eating out, cheeseburgers, food trucks. That's it. That's the future. And that didn't prove out to be. But I think you saw a shift. I think you saw a shift in, like, the more accessible of these maybe 1-star, 2-star restaurants, where you're not going out and dropping $100, $200 on a meal, but maybe you're going in for 70 or 80 and you're still getting a really good experience.
Yeah, that's gonna, they'll find their way. And it's like what you and I are talking about. Like, it might not be in the city, it might be in the Shore of New Jersey. It might be in Asbury Park. It might be in, it might be in upstate New York. It might be in Pennsylvania. It might be in Pittsburgh. It might be it might be somewhere where you're not thinking of right now, that people are all moving to and saying, okay, this is where, you know what I mean? And I feel like people have also used the time to, like, okay, I'm not cooking right now. What I want to pursue a little bit of something that I've always wanted to do. And it's like me, I'm working on a screenplay with a friend, and doing some, trying to get those creative juices flowing in other ways of, like, writing a pitch for a TV show that's based around, kind of finding my Filipino identity and Filipino food, and, like, all that stuff. It's like, listen, I can do that because I feel like I have the means to do it, but it's also something that I want to do, right? And I feel like chefs are always exploring, like, what do you want to do, as opposed to what, I feel like a lot of times we get, it's like, I'm a chef, this is what I have to do. It's like, not really.
Yeah.
The late great Anthony Bourdain taught us that.
Yeah, no, I think that you can explore a lot of lanes, and, speaking of TV and additional lanes, I had an absolute blast watching you give us a little peek behind the scenes of the new season of Top Chef coming out, which, I also work in media. I work in TV as well. And it has been an absolute 180 approach to making food TV and production right now. But what made you want to do another season? I know that you've already hit the heights of, I believe it was 6th place. Yeah. If my records
twice, yeah.
Yeah, twice. But why go back? Why do this? Why is a show like this in Top Chef, important to do? And obviously takes away from your family. You're isolating now. You're away from the business. What brought you in, and what can people expect from this season?
I think it was an amazing opportunity. I thought it was, when I heard the details of how it was going to get done, there was a natural curiosity of like, whoa, I want to see this, because I've gone through 2 seasons, obviously, or 3 seasons of like, the normal way of doing the show, and just to hear about everyone's being in a bubble, we're quarantining, everyone's going to get checked for COVID every 2 days. Like just how they were going to run it was it kind of crazy to me. And I was curious, and the opportunity to see good friends, opportunity to work with producers who are like from OG, like, dude, I'm single digits Top Chef. Like I'm 4 and 8. Like the first season wasn't even in like high def. We were I was watching season 4 with my friends, wanted to see a couple episodes, so we were kind of watching it together. And I was like, dude, this is even in high def. Like that's how old this is, how old I am at it. So like just to be part of, to see that was a great opportunity, especially now, it's a great opportunity for the restaurant to kind of get back on the map, for Westchester and Tarrytown to be like, hey, there's a dude who was on TV, he's right here, he's in the middle of the season. I think it'll be fun for everybody to watch. And just to, be part of once you're in the Top Chef family, obviously you're always part of it, but to experience it as a judge was, I thought, a really amazing opportunity. Oftentimes we don't if you get asked back, you maybe see a quick fire or you see an elimination, but to see the entire process start to finish was pretty cool.
And they brought back, it was interesting to see everyone together, because depending on how chefs or when you get into them, you're like, oh, I came to this person that way. It's sort of like sports, right? Like, oh, I remember when you were playing for the Padres, but now you're with the Dodgers, or, or it's like, oh, now you were, so many of the Flyers went over to the Kings. So I'm sort of like a Kings guy now. And, but to see some of my favorite people and chefs who I've, loved working with or met professionally was just like a total blast. And to realize like that Top Chef has really covered the spread of who's risen. And, maybe it's a little bit of, again, like, gaming the system, because if you're on Top Chef, then you get to that level and things like that. But, Kwame, Brooke, Blaze, Kristen, like it's amazing to see all of you guys together and actually looking like you're friends.
It was really, and I can tell you, we are. You get a bunch of knuckleheads in a room, and we will cause ruckus. Now we're older. A lot of us have kids. Some of us aren't as party animals as we used to be.
How could we be, Dale? How could we be?
Listen, dude, we did, but it wasn't from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. For some of them it was, but for me it was more like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. or 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So it was a short period of time. We still turned up, and some of those videos you can see. If you follow my Instagram, you'll see some of it turning up. But it was a blast, man. It was really good to see, and really fun to meet some people. Like I love Blaze; he's my OG homie from back in the day. But to meet someone like Greg,
love Greg.
Gregory Godet. I mean, that guy is an amazing person. Melissa,
his cookbook's going to be amazing.
It's going to be fun, and his restaurant is going to be. I know it'll be an amazing. It's going to be an amazing restaurant.
I got a chance to eat at Departure when he was there, and it was just like, what? Like, how are you putting up this food? And it just blew me away.
Can I tell you one story that we did? So we cooked. We had only, because of the circumstances, there wasn't a lot of opportunities for us to cook together. So when we did, we really maximized it. Greg made this Isan style duck curry that, man, it took forever. I was like, damn, Greg, why are you taking so long? Like, we're all packed up, ready to go. He's like, just a little longer, man. I need a little more time. This dude put this on the table, and you know when a meal is really good, it gets real quiet.
Yeah.
It's almost like the tsunami, like it's that weird, like, quiet. It got real eerie and quiet. That's what it was like when he put his duck curry down. And the whole table, I'm talking like 13, 14, 15 people. Like, we're just quiet. No words being said. And that's when you knew. I was like, dude, that I can still, just talking about it right now, I can taste it. It was amazing.
But, and he's a perfect example to bring a little bit full circle of just, not that Portland is off the map with the food scene anyway, but here's a guy who's been like simmering off, doing his thing. And obviously he's been around with Top Chef and did the beard thing. And now I feel that he's going to spring onto the national scene in a completely different way.
Mm-hmm.
And just, and I think that's what you're going to see with a lot of chefs in these smaller towns, especially with social media, right? With everyone being connected and people like Jeff Gordoniers of the world who are on the hunt to pull the best out of America and share it with people. And it's going to be even more exciting. You just do a road trip and hit 10 of the best restaurants in the world driving through the middle of the country.
Amen, man. I mean, the guy, you're going to find places in, Toluca, California or wherever. You're going to find, Niles, Illinois, where I'm from, someone's going to open a restaurant and you're going to be like, damn, that was dope.
That was dope.
And that's I think that's what it's going to be like. I think people are going to be surprised at the level. People are going home a lot. You know what I mean? Chefs that were out in the city, chefs that were out in LA and New York and Chicago that weren't from there are like, dude, it's time for me to go back home. And
it's time, and there's no shame in that anymore. It used to be like, I got 4 cities I'm going to cook in because that's what the world cares about, right?
Yeah.
And now it's just like no one cares anymore.
No,
put up the best food wherever you can.
Yeah, and it makes the landscape so much better for everybody. And I don't know, there's a sense of giving back when you go home, right? Like, so you go back to where you're from. It's like this, like, hey man, I'm back, and like I want to make an impact in my city, and I want to make a difference, in a community that I know very well and that kind of helped raise me.
Well, awesome. Well, Dale, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to chat with us. If people want to follow along, see what's going on with Goose Feather, where can they go? How can they follow along with everything you got going on in your world?
No, yeah, man. Hit us up at Goosefeather NY. That's our Instagram handle. Follow us at Food Crush Hospitality on Insta. And then me on Instagram and Twitter at just Dale Taldy, DALETALD. And we're up to, man, because we're doing some funky stuff, and we're going to try and keep on pushing it until the wheels fall off, right? I mean,
it's the only thing you can do.
Fall off soon. But
yeah. Well, listen, thank you so much. We got another song from the archives and then a live performance from the archives here on Snacky Tunes on HRN.
Is it wicked? And can I lick it? Would you taste my bloody feet? Testing the limits of intimacy. Round knuckle tries to temper my desire, but the drain builds pressure. There is no ally in this void. There is no ally in this void.
This episode is brought to you by Hearst Ranch. The Hearst family has raised cattle on California's Central Coast since 1865. Today, Hearst Ranch's signature product is their 100% grass-fed, completely hormone and antibiotic-free beef. The Hearst Ranches have always treated their animals with great care. Their cattle live a completely natural existence as foragers and grazers. Well-managed grazing fertilizes the land naturally, sustains a seasonal rhythm to the ranches, and produces a remarkable meat whose flavor is the authentic taste of the American West. Hearst Ranch beef is available seasonally, May through August, in select Whole Food markets throughout California, and all year round at their retail locations in San Simeon and Paso Robles. And now, HRN listeners in Arizona, Nevada, and California can get Hearst Ranch beef delivered right to their door through Larder Meat Company. Go to lardermeatco.com and shop the 100% grass-fed box to stock your freezer with Hearst Ranch beef. That's LARDER meatco.com. Learn more about the storied history, farming practices, and conservation efforts of Hearst Ranch at HearstRanch.com.
Welcome back. We have Odd Kid out live video.
Hey.
Can I call you Odd Kid or can I call you Butch?
You can call me Butch.
Okay, Butch. Welcome to Snacky Tunes.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming up from Philly.
For sure.
Darren and I are from Philly as well.
No
Born and
way.
raised. Yeah.
Why did you say that in the email?
Well, just for this moment. But I mean, when I say Philly, since you're from there, we're from the main line. Are you from Philly proper? Or
well, so technically I'm from the suburbs. So I'm like from Chestnut Hill area.
Okay.
Technically from Orland, but no one knows where that is.
No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah. So yeah, grew up in the burbs, and now that I go to Drexel, living in the city in West Philly. So.
How do you feel about living in Philly full time?
I love it. It really puts you, as an artist and a creative, it puts you in a completely different environment. Because not that the burbs are bad, it's just like being around, people my age and being around the city and just being influenced by everything happening there is like so much better for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think the second that we turned became teenagers, like the day we turned 13, we just started going to like the Troc and the church.
Yeah.
And just going downtown as often as we possibly could.
Yep.
I mean, and we can see Center City from our window, but there's a difference between, being in the suburbs and then just being in it.
Exactly.
What are some of your favorite rooms to play in there?
So I've played the TLA, which was actually probably one of the best
That's
shows
amazing.
I've played. Yeah.
I feel like that's like a total feather in the cap.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Especially growing up there.
Oh, yeah. It's like you got to go to the TLA.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's been a great place. I've played great shows at the Troc. Even places like the Hard Rock is great.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that was a venue when I was, or I don't ever remember going to shows.
Really?
It was mostly like the 4040, which is not around anymore, but like the Troc and just a bunch of also house shows as well.
Right. Definitely.
What's the Drexel house party show scene like?
It's great. I mean, for what I do, being a producer in hip hop, there's not a lot of outlets.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff for rock music and punk music.
Right.
And I'll go to those every now and then just because I love all types of music. But no, it's great. There's a lot of people at Drexel that do music, obviously, and people want to find new music all the time. So.
You have a pretty interesting background on things. So you did School of Rock. You did drumming for Rock Legends. Tell us how you kind of got into all of this.
Yeah, so I'll give you the lowdown.
Yeah.
So when I was probably, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6, my dad saw me drumming in the back seat. Just air drumming, and he was like, you know what, let's buy him a drum set. So when I was 6,
that's the only parent that's ever said that.
I know, right? Noise complaints.
Yeah.
So he bought me a drum set when I was 6 and got enrolled in the School of Rock, which was the best thing I could have done.
For people who don't know, what is it?
Mm-hmm. So it's basically an after-school program that kids can go to, and once a week you do lessons and then you do shows. So the shows consist of covers of they have a classic rock show and you do that. They have AC/DC, Pink Floyd, all that stuff. And so I did that from around age 8 to 14. But I stayed taking lessons there with a guy named Jim Love until I was probably 18. And they just taught me so much. So I was very, very grateful to go there.
What was one of the things, do you think, going to School of Rock kind of prepared you for that maybe just being in bands and not getting a more quote-unquote formal education?
Yeah, well, it really taught me, first of all, how to format songs. Because when you're young and you have to learn how to memorize songs, it kind of becomes engraved in you. The other great thing was that you get to be surrounded by kids your age that like music, because there's not a lot of musicians when you're younger that really want to take it seriously. So being in that environment was like priceless.
So how did you make the jump from, do you still play drums?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Sure. So how did you make the transition, the jump from drums to producing and doing like electronic music?
So I had always been a drummer, and I was just yearning to do something more creative. Not that the drums aren't creative, but I wanted a little more creative control. And for my, I guess, when I was 14, my mom bought me this Native Instruments machine and Logic Pro.
Dude, your parents are awesome.
Dude, amazing.
That's
amazing.
that's like two key moves that you've already said. That's great.
They set me up for success. Shout out mom and dad. But yeah, they got that for my birthday, and then I spent all of high school.
Did you ask
practicing.
for it, or did they just like, hey, we read about this thing, and like we think you would be into this?
Well, my mom started noticing how much I liked hip hop and like making beats and stuff, and she actually saw it on, I think, like Apple's homepage. She just saw like Logic Pro go up, and she was like, "Hey, do you want this for your birthday?" And I was like, yeah."
Amazing.
It's so
awesome.
awesome.
That's like so. I mean, okay, keep going. So yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so I spent like all of high school just sitting in my room figuring it out. Like, I didn't take lessons for my MPC or anything like that. I just YouTube stuff. And I took what I knew from drumming and music and just put it to it. So
can we hear something?
Yeah, of course. I'll put some on right now.
What are you going to do for us first?
I'm going to play a beat called Through You.
Okay. So you mentioned that you're at Drexel. How do you find the balance between being a musician and a student?
Tough.
Go on.
Yeah, so, I mean, both are very time-consuming and require a lot of attention and work. So, sometimes I battle with choosing what comes first and what's more important. I mean, I love school, but...
what are you studying?
Music business.
Oh, so, it's relatable.
Yeah, it's definitely relatable. I mean, there's some times where you have to take classes that have nothing to do with what you want to do, which is always a pain. But no, I mean, I think I'm doing a good job kind of balancing it all. It just takes a lot of, planning and also just sacrificing a lot of things, as far as like not going out on the weekends and to catch up on work and stuff. So,
I mean, if this goes well, you'll be out like far enough, like that'll like kind of even out in the end.
Right.
How's the reception been to your music, and where are you finding your place in the Philadelphia music scape?
It's really been great. I just started producing as Odd Kid Out about 8 or 9 months ago, and in that time frame, I've gotten myself to around 65,000 followers on Instagram, and
that's how I found you. I was like
Instagram?
just like through Instagram.
Oh, really?
And your email was in there. I mean, that's how I found
Right.
you. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It works.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like an online business card. That's what I always say.
And it's kind of amazing, like sometimes for bands, how hard it is to track them down.
Yeah.
But you made it real easy, which is why you're sitting here.
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks. But no, it's good because I took the connections that I had from drumming and just, being in the music scene and hit those people up and were like, hey, I'm not just a drummer, I'm a producer too, and been booked on some shows and keeping it moving. So,
and how have you found to the older Philadelphia music scene? Is it you within the Drexel scene, or are you in the larger Philadelphia scene as well?
I would probably say I'm doing more outside of Drexel. Not that I don't have support from Drexel. I just find myself, being in front of just Philadelphians, before students. But yeah, because I'm just always going out to the city trying to meet new people.
Have you toured yet?
As a producer, no.
Oh, okay.
As a drummer, yes.
Oh, okay. And I know that you mentioned that you'd worked with some Grammy people and some older people in the game. What's the story there?
So I'm very close with a guy named David Ivory who produced The Roots and Patti LaBelle, Erykah Badu. And I work with Cam Hoff, who wrote a few Neo songs. I work with Beyonce. There's just a lot of people. Oh, the Nicola brothers, who worked with Cypress Hill and Lauryn Hill and stuff. That came from drumming. And then, using those relationships to push the production career has been helpful too.
So did you work with them as a drummer?
Yeah,
first?
as a drummer, and I would intern at their studios in high school, and just be like, if you need help, just call me.
Any valuable lessons you picked up from interning, or any advice you give to people who are weighing the pros and cons of? I'm all for interning, but current generation are maybe not as down with that. Any advice that you could give, or kind of here's why you should do it?
Yeah.
Or why you shouldn't do it?
You should do it because, first of all, you're learning the entire... If you pick a good internship, you're learning the entire time. So that's already amazing. And two, you become close with that person because after you spend, days after days in the studio with this same person, you build a rapport and you get called to do work after your internship is over. So... and especially if it's in another place away from where you're living, then you get a whole new environment too. So,
yeah, I mean, and also the distance between the suburbs and the city at 14 seems like a huge. Even now, you're oh, it's not that far.
Yeah,
but at that time, it's it might as well be a world away.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, the one thing that's interesting about producing, and you kind of touched on, is that it is so collaborative. So how do you find the artists that kind of work with you in the project, or how do you weave them in to Odd Kid Out?
So I'm the type of person that just genuinely loves working with people. Now, if we want to talk about finding someone that's really, meshing with my sound, I kind of struggle with that.
What do you mean?
Well, there's just not, I don't know how to put it. There's just not a lot of... I haven't found many people that can really take my beats and do something with their voice over it that sounds the way I want it to. That being said, I've definitely come across a good amount of people that have, but the majority that I do, it doesn't feel like it necessarily meshes the greatest that it could.
Who are some of the people that fit well with your music?
Yeah, so I'm contradicting myself, but a good amount of people. A girl named Ashley Leone, who's out in Nashville now. I used to be her drummer, and she's got the second song on the EP that I just put out. And she sounds great on everything. She's got a beautiful voice. A rapper named Odyssey, who I'm close with, who's a high school friend. He's on the EP as well. This guy named Luke Bryan from Philly, a guitarist named Todd who sings through his guitar. He's amazing.
Acoustic or electric?
He does both, but mostly electric. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so he's awesome. The list definitely goes on. I'm missing a few, but...
and how does, where's your approach in the process? I mean, people are so varied. Is it the beats are finished first and then you hand it over? Is it there's a framework? How does the collaboration... How does it come together?
It definitely varies with who I work with. So a lot of the times I have people just come to my studio and shop for beats. So I'll just play them beats and, you like it? Cool. Other times I'll have people over, my friend Mitch Beer. He comes over and we start from scratch. And both have their pros and cons. So,
do you have one that you prefer over the other?
Well, I guess I like working from the ground up with the person because then you feel like you're creating something together. Sometimes I feel like I'm just dishing beats to people, and like that's great, but I would much rather sit down with the person and really, tailor it to what they would want.
Great. Let's hear something else.
Yeah, sure. I'll play a song off the EP.
Okay, perfect. What's this called?
I'm going to play Amor. This is the single.
Great.
Bello mio, voglio solamente meraviglioso te. Da quando ero piccola avevo sogni di un fidanzato perfetto. Ti amo davvero, ti voglio bene. Salvami, baciami ancora. Amami ancora, carissimo, cuore mio. Dammi tutto del tuo amore, amore.
I know it's been a short time, but it feels like forever. You're always on my mind. Now more than ever, can't remember life without you. The memories just aren't there. I think that my heart always knew that I needed you there. Pretty sure I know what to call it, could call it love. But I don't wanna move too fast, identifying us. Do the same rules apply when it's up to you and me? Oh, I'll take my chances now. Only one thing this could be. Maybe it's too early. Tell me if it's early. Don't wanna scare you. Don't want you to walk away, but I want you only. You're the best part of my day. I love you. I love you. I may be talking crazy, but please don't be afraid. Know you feel it too. I can tell in the way you behave. Pretty sure I know what to call it, could call it love. Oh, but I don't wanna move too fast, identifying us. Maybe it's too early. Tell me if it's early. Don't wanna scare you. Don't want you to walk away, but I want you only. You're the best part of my day. I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. And only you. And only you.
If you did me dirty, better write your wrongs, Bonnet.
Yeah, here you go talking that shit.
I write them songs that make chicks spend nights in thongs, sorta kinda not quite for long.
Yo, you really drawn right now.
Love when I hear, love when I spit. Paint a picture, she in love with this shit perfect. She in love with the drip, so dog I can't tell it's a chick. Nah, see she in love with my clique. Get money, dress fly, talk shit. I bet you play the part in the shit. Joe me like Melissa Joan Hart and shit.
Oh yeah, you Joe shit.
Need a chick to make a partner and shit. We can take a trip to the big car dealership.
Come on, then we
Think you know who you are dealing with. They no murder nigga killing shit. Nigga flow like water, BP, oil still spilling shit. Ball clothes, nigga still feeling it. One bottle left, nigga still chilling it. She still ride, nigga still willing it.
You know what? I should have listened to my girlfriend. I don't even know why.
Who are the vocalists on that?
So that's Gogo Morrow, who's a singer from Philly.
Good name.
Yeah, dude, she's awesome. And then the rapper is Bonnet, who actually used to be, killing the game in Philly a couple years back. But yeah, he's the man.
So what was the process of making this EP? This is your first one, right?
Yeah, so I released something senior year as blah blah blah.
That's fine. No
one knows.
Unless you bring it up, no one's gonna know. So it's up to you how you want to tell that story. We'll just go back and say this is the first.
Yeah. So this is the first Odd Kid Out release. So I wanted it to be, the way I put it is like an autobiography of music, basically. So I wanted to tell my story through music, basically. It's very much a story. You have to listen to it from the beginning to the end, and the interludes within it, kind of tell it. But I kind of wanted to make something that made people think and something that was cathartic to people,
An EP is, really about editing and, not turning into LP. So how were you able to tell your story, or how did you kind of craft the story over like a shorter form?
So the EP was actually originally like 15 songs, and
of course,
yeah. So I had to cut it down.
All gold,
right?
All gold.
So I had to cut it down to 6, and that was probably the hardest part of the EP, was figuring out how to make up for all of that lost storytelling. So what I kind of left it up to was the emotions within the beats to kind of speak on that, and then there's tiny little snippets of things that you'll catch at the beginning and the end, and if you take the time to sit and think and piece it all together, it'll make sense.
Do you have like who are your like trusted ears? Like who do you send before it gets like the final lock?
So my roommate Scott.
Is that default?
No.
Like, did you get paired freshman year?
Dude, so we've been friends since high school, and we went to Drexel together. And he, I'll call him into the studio and be like, "Hey, I need you to come listen to this," because I trust him very much. Another person was my manager, Kirkland Lynch. I would send it to him, let him hear it. And then the people I was talking about before, like David, Ivory, and all those people that really have a good ear and that I trust. And friends like, my friend Mitch Beer that I was talking about before, he helped out a lot too. So.
And is it like open for refinement? Like, do you take their notes in, or is it more like, or how do you take that in, like, even if you feel it's like done? Or where do you send it to them in the process?
I send it to them when I feel excited about it. And it takes me, I don't necessarily get hyped up about something when I make it. It kind of takes a little bit until I feel like it's at that point. And when I send it, I don't send it with the mind frame that it's done. I very much want someone to beat me up with their comments. Like I want as much feedback as possible, because I'm jaded, because it's my own ear. So...
Oh, so your skin's pretty thick, or like just something?
Oh yeah,
okay.
No, I want people to tell me what's up, because I'll make the changes.
Has someone like ever said something that kind of like slid right beneath the breastplate, kind of cut you a little bit?
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all.
And what's cool about this is that you released it on BitTorrent too.
Yeah.
So how did that? That seems like such a modern kind of move. Mm-hmm. How did that come about?
Well, my manager and I thought it was a great move because they have so many listeners. And when we got approached about the situation, we kind of just wanted to jump on it. And also the great thing about it was that we got to do this premium edition type thing where people could enter their emails, and then they'll get a more video, and they'll get some pictures and stuff. So it was just a way to be more personal with the fans.
What happened to the other songs? I was going to ask for the other songs, the 9 songs that didn't make it onto the EP. Is that just like EP2, EP3? Do they just kind of live somewhere else?
I don't know. I mean, they may reemerge at some point. I mean, they're sitting in my iTunes library, but I want to do something with them for sure.
Plans for the summer? Tour?
Yes, I'm
actually out in the studio.
I'm actually headed to LA for the summer, and I'm interning.
Where are you interning?
Red Light Management.
Oh. Amazing.
Yeah.
The more business of the music side.
Exactly.
They're great.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. And the great thing is that, I keep talking about my manager, he lives out there. So I'll be able to really, spend time with him and work on my craft on my days that I'm off. So
don't knock a good team.
No.
Like, you can go very, very far. Like, you should really like your manager.
Oh, my gosh.
And your day-to-day and everything.
Yeah.
Do you know we're going to live in LA?
No, that's the one thing I haven't figured out, and it's stressing me out.
You going to get a car?
I don't know. Can't you only rent it when you're like 25?
Yeah, I guess that is a concern. Is a concern. I don't know. I've done. I work out there, and I have been out there for 3 years. I have not rented a car in 3 years. Uber's like kind of really cheap out there.
I heard the bus is the move.
Yeah, I think like the rule is that as long as you're willing to pick up like all the Ubers, you can probably like get rides for half the things.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you just have to like you can't be the person without the car and be like, oh, I would have gotten that one. You have to be the first to offer.
Right.
And I think I don't know. It depends if you're gonna be in the studio most of the time anyway, or at work.
I'm gonna try and get housing like right next to where I'm working, so I don't have to like travel too far.
Yeah, I mean it's the one thing that kills me. I mean it's the most classic East Coast complaint, but the traffic really it's like the most like stereotypical thing for me to say. It's like the traffic. Well, I know we want to leave a lot of time for you to do a freestyle at the end, just to kind of let you spread your legs and take us for a walk. But where can people find you? How can they add to that ever-growing Instagram account, book you, shop for beats, build songs from the ground up?
Yeah, so you can find me on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all under Odd Kid Out, and that's ODDKIDOUT.
You are so well trained. It's amazing. It's incredible.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no. It's really easy. Just type in Odd Kid Out. I'll pop up. You'll see mine.
Cool. Well,
my face.
I want to thank our guests today. Shout out to the family. Shout out to Berlin. And any name for the freestyle? You're just going to just let it go?
Yeah, this is just kind of like a little thing I put together.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for being on here, and take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much.
about food, we talk about music with musical dudes. Finger on the pulse, snacky tunes.
This program is powered by Simplecast.
Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. For our freshest content and to hear about exclusive events, subscribe to our newsletter. Enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at heritage_radio. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization driving conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place. And we couldn't do it without support from listeners like you. Want to be a part of the food world's most innovative community? Rate the shows you like, tell your friends, and please join our community by becoming a member. Just click on the beating heart at the top right of our homepage. Thanks for listening.